The fluorescent lights of Riverside Heights shopping center cast harsh shadows across the polished marble floors. It was a Thursday afternoon in early spring, and the mall hummed with the usual mix of teenagers, families, and retirees seeking refuge from the drizzle outside. Miguel Santos, 17 and lanky, pushed through the glass doors of TechWorld Electronics with his younger sister Sophia trailing behind him. He wore his high school basketball hoodie and carried a worn backpack slung over one shoulder. "Can we hurry?" Sophia whined, tugging at his sleeve. "Mom said we only have an hour before she picks us up." "Relax. I just need to grab those headphones I ordered online." In and out. Miguel approached the customer service counter, fishing his phone from his pocket to pull up the order confirmation. The store was moderately busy. A middle-aged employee named Gerald Webb stood near the entrance, arms crossed, watching customers with the intensity of a hawk eyeing field mice. He'd worked loss prevention at TechWorld for 3 years, and he prided himself on his instincts. Those instincts, he believed, were tingling now. Miguel waited at the counter, but no one came to help. He glanced around, spotting an employee restocking cables in a nearby aisle. "Excuse me, I'm here to pick up an online order." The young employee looked nervous. Let me get someone for you." She disappeared into the back. Miguel waited, checking his watch. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. "Maybe they forgot," Sophia said, now scrolling through her phone. "Yeah, maybe." Miguel walked toward the back counter himself, hoping to flag someone down. That's when Gerald Webb stepped into his path. "Excuse me, young man. I need you to come with me." Miguel blinked. "What?" "I'm just waiting for my pickup order." "Sure you are." Gerald's voice dripped with skepticism. "I saw you walk in, go straight to the display tablets, slip something into that backpack, and now you're trying to leave. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Miguel's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about? I didn't take anything." "Then you won't mind showing me what's in your bag." Sophia stepped forward, her voice rising. "He literally just got here. He hasn't even gone near those tablets." Gerald ignored her, his hand now hovering near Miguel's shoulder. "Son, I've been doing this a long time. I know what I saw. Either show me the bag or I'm calling the police." "Call them." Miguel shot back, anger replacing confusion. "I didn't steal anything." The commotion drew stares. Other shoppers slowed, phones emerging from pockets. Someone was already filming. "This is racial profiling," Sophia shouted, her face flushed. "You're only stopping him because—" "This has nothing to do with that," Gerald interrupted sharply. "This is about theft. Now, are you going to cooperate, or am I making that call?" Miguel's jaw tightened. Every instinct screamed at him to defend himself, to argue, to demand justice. But he'd been raised better than that. His father's voice echoed in his head, "Stay calm. Stay respectful. Let the truth speak for itself." "Fine," Miguel said quietly, unzipping his backpack. He pulled out a geometry textbook, a water bottle, his wallet, and a crumpled hoodie. "See? Nothing." Gerald's eyes narrowed. He grabbed the backpack himself, turning it inside out, checking every pocket. Nothing. For a brief moment, doubt flickered across Gerald's face. But pride quickly smothered it. "Check his pockets," Gerald told another employee who had wandered over. "This is insane," Miguel protested. But he emptied his pockets anyway. Phone. Keys. Chapstick. Gum. A receipt from the food court. Still nothing. Gerald's face was reddening now, but he wouldn't back down. "I know what I saw. You must have ditched it somewhere. Everyone, check aisle 7. "Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding," a timid voice interrupted. It was the young employee from earlier, Ashley, holding a tablet. I just checked the security footage. He never went near the tablets. He walked straight to customer service." The words hung in the air like a guillotine. Gerald snatched the tablet, his eyes scanning the time-stamped video. His face went from red to pale in seconds. "This is a mistake," he muttered, but the words lacked conviction. "A mistake?" Miguel's voice was quiet but cutting. "You accused me of being a thief in front of everyone. You violated my privacy, treated me like a criminal, and now it's just a mistake. Gerald stammered. Look, there was someone else, earlier, wearing a similar hoodie. So you thought it was me. Miguel's words were steel. Because we all look the same to you, right? That's not what Save it. Miguel grabbed his backpack, his hands shaking with barely suppressed rage. Come on, Sophia. As they headed toward the exit, Gerald called after them weakly. Wait, don't you want your order? Miguel didn't turn around. By the time they reached the food court, Sophia was crying angry tears. Miguel, that was so messed up. We should report him. We should. I know, Miguel said softly, guiding her to a bench. We will. But right now, I just need to breathe. He pulled out his phone, hesitating before dialing. His father answered on the second ring. Hey, mijo. Everything okay? Miguel closed his eyes. Dad, something happened at the mall. Captain Roberto Santos, head of the Riverside Heights Police Department, listened in silence as his son recounted the incident. When Miguel finished, there was a long pause. Are you and Sophia safe? Roberto's voice was tight. Yeah, we're fine. Just humiliated. Stay there. I'm coming to get you. Dad, you don't have to. I'm already in the car. 20 minutes later, Captain Santos strode through the mall in civilian clothes, his badge clipped to his belt. His face was a mask of controlled fury. He found Gerald Webb exactly where he expected, still in TechWorld, now nervously explaining the situation to his district manager, Patricia Cole. Captain Santos, Patricia said, her voice professionally courteous but her eyes wary. I understand there was an incident involving your son. I want you to know we take these matters very seriously. Do you? Roberto's voice could have cut glass. Because from where I'm standing, your employee racially profiled my son, falsely accused him of theft, publicly humiliated him, and violated his rights. And the only reason anyone knows it was a mistake is because another employee had the decency to check the cameras. Patricia blanched. Captain, I assure you. I'm not here as a captain right now, Roberto interrupted. I'm here as a father whose son was treated like a criminal for the crime of shopping while Latino. But believe me, if I wanted to come back as a captain, I could. And we could have a very different conversation about probable cause, illegal detention, and discrimination. Gerald tried to speak. Sir, I was just doing my job. Roberto's gaze swung to him like a searchlight. Your job is to prevent theft, not to harass innocent customers based on assumptions. Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you understand the message you sent to my son? That no matter how good a kid he is, how hard he works, how respectful he tries to be, there will always be people who see him as a threat first. The small crowd that had gathered was silent. Gerald looked at the floor. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. You're sorry, Roberto repeated, the words bitter. My son will remember this day for the rest of his life. Your apology doesn't erase that. Patricia stepped forward, her voice shaking slightly. Captain Santos, Mr. Webb will be placed on immediate suspension pending a full investigation. We will review our training protocols, particularly around implicit bias and proper loss prevention procedures. And we'd like to offer your family a formal apology, Anne. Keep your apologies, Roberto said quietly. What I want is change. Real change. Because my son isn't the first kid this has happened to, and unless you do something, he won't be the last. He turned and walked out, finding Miguel and Sophia at the food court. His anger melted when he saw his son's face. Come on, Roberto said gently. Let's go home. That evening, the Santos family sat around the dinner table. Miguel had been quiet most of the drive home, and his mother, Elena, had held his hand without saying a word. I don't want to go back to that mall, Sophia announced, pushing her rice around her plate. You don't have to, Elena said softly. Miguel looked at his father. Did you really threaten to come back as a cop? Roberto sighed. I didn't threaten. I reminded them that actions have consequences. What happened to you was wrong, Miguel. It was illegal. And if I have to use every tool at my disposal to make sure it doesn't happen to another kid, I will. But it will happen again, Miguel said, his voice hollow. Maybe not to me, but to someone else. Somewhere else. You're probably right, Roberto admitted. But that doesn't mean we stop fighting it. That doesn't mean we accept it. I just wanted to buy headphones. Miguel's voice cracked. Elena reached across the table, taking both his hands. I know, mijo. I know. Roberto stood and moved to his son's side, placing a hand on his shoulder. What Gerald did to you was wrong. But how you handled it. I've never been more proud of you. You stayed calm. You stood your ground. You didn't let him make you into something you're not. I wanted to, Miguel whispered. I wanted to yell. To push back. To. But you didn't, Roberto said firmly. Because you're better than that. You're better than his assumptions, his prejudices, his fear. And one day, God willing, the world will catch up to what I already know, that you're a good kid who deserves to be treated with dignity. Tears rolled down Miguel's cheeks. It's not fair. No, Roberto agreed. It's not. But you're not alone in this fight. You have your family, your community, and you have the truth on your side. Sophia, crying now too, got up and hugged her brother. You're the best big brother ever. And that guy is just a racist jerk. Despite everything, Miguel laughed wetly. Thanks, Sophie. Elena wiped her own eyes. Tomorrow, we file a formal complaint. We talk to a lawyer if we need to. We make sure this is documented. But tonight, we're together. And that's what matters. The story made local news within 2 days. Police captain's son falsely accused of theft read one headline. Another, racial profiling at Riverside Mall, family demands accountability. Gerald Webb was fired after the investigation confirmed he had targeted Miguel without cause. TechWorld issued a public apology and announced mandatory anti-bias training for all employees. But the real change came from Miguel himself. 2 weeks after the incident, he wrote an op-ed for the local paper about his experience. It was raw, honest, and powerful. He wrote about the fear he felt, the anger, the helplessness. But he also wrote about his father's words, about choosing dignity over rage, about the importance of speaking truth even when the world doesn't want to listen. The piece went viral. Teenagers across the city shared it. Parents printed it out and discussed it at dinner tables. Teachers used it in classrooms. Miguel didn't become famous. He didn't want to be. But his words sparked conversations that needed to happen. And when he finally went back to TechWorld after a handwritten apology from the new store manager and an invitation to a community dialogue event, he walked in with his head high. He picked up his headphones. He paid for them with a smile. And he left knowing that while one man's assumptions had tried to define him, the truth had set him free. 3 months later, Captain Roberto Santos stood before the Riverside Heights City Council, presenting a new community policing initiative focused on bias training and accountability. In the audience sat Miguel, now a peer counselor at his high school, helping other students navigate experiences with discrimination. When Roberto finished his presentation, the council members applauded. But the person clapping the loudest was his son. Their eyes met across the room, and in that moment, no words were needed. The fight wasn't over. It would never be completely over. But together, they would keep fighting. And that was enough.